Hello, welcome back from the break. Nice to be back with you all, and those who are watching online, welcome to as well. So, in this final segment of the workshop, I wanted to take a moment to talk about the film The Brutalist, because we were engaging in a lot of different writing prompts and exercises, and I wanted to finish and complete the workshop talking about this film, The Brutalist, because I recently watched it in the theaters and I was pleasantly surprised by the weight, the integrity, and the mastery of filmmaking that I witnessed. So, for those who don't know, I'm going to give you a bit of background on the film. So, The Brutalist came out in 2024. It is certainly an epic period drama. It was directed by Brady Corbet and written by Brady Corbet and his partner, Mona Fastvoid. It stars Adrian Brody, Felicity Jones, Guy Pearce, among other incredible actors. And it is a very, very interesting story. And I'll go through the story now for those, I won't give any spoilers. But, basically try my best to explain a bit about the film. So we have a Hungarian Jewish Holocaust survivor, Bauhaus trained architect Laszlo Toth, is forcefully separated from his wife and orphaned niece after being sent to the Buchenwald concentration camp. He immigrates to the United States, and as the ship enters New York Harbor, he sees the Statue of Liberty. That's the overture of the film. And then pretty soon he finds himself in Philadelphia, working at a furniture store run by his cousin, and eventually comes into the presence of a wealthy patron played by Guy Pearce, who helps him manifest his vision of creating a beautiful piece of brutalist architecture. And then there's a whole portion of the film where his relationship to Guy Pearce's character turns problematic and extremely troublesome. And his wife eventually comes over and meets him in Philadelphia. They have a lot of challenges as well. And eventually the film ends with the building that Guy Pearce's character, Harrison Lee Van Buren, who's the wealthy patron, visions the construction of this building that Laszlo Toth eventually does build. But there's a lot of conflict between him, his patron, his partner, and other characters in the film. So, what did I think of the film? Why am I bringing it up in this closing portion of our workshop today? Well, let's say the following. The writing is extraordinary, and since this is a writing workshop, I thought I'd lead with that. I found the dialogue to be extremely believable and very just well paced, um, and feeling like it's coming directly from the characters. It didn't seem artificial, superficial, put on. And, for better or worse, not to critique modern cinema, contemporary cinema, but a lot of films I watch now, there seems to be kind of like an understanding of our current time, our current temperature, our current political, social, economic situation here in the West specifically. And a lot of films are not afraid to lead with that in their writing and in their storytelling. And I feel like this film certainly has aspects of that. However, I feel as though a lot of the emotional core of the film is coming from the characters, coming from specifically the characters' trajectory, the characters' history, the characters' past, where the characters are coming from, where they are, where they're going, the relationships with other characters in the film. It seems from my watching the film only once, and again, it's a 3.5 hour film with an intermission, and it has an overture and an epilogue. So it's a grand journey you're going to be on. And that is, I feel, very on point on purpose for the filmmakers. I feel like they wanted to do all of this on purpose by listening to a couple interviews that Brady Corbet has given. And so going back to this idea of the dialogue being not so much speaking solely on the contemporary issues we're facing in the West at this time, in 2024 into 25. However, I feel like it's speaking more specifically to the characters' immediate circumstances and situations, their own inner struggles, their own demons, their own um, griefs and tragedies. And there is a lot of hard subject matter explored in the film. There's sexual abuse, there's addiction, there's power dynamics, there's how immigrants can be treated, and of course that's a topical issue of our time. Marital issues, infidelity, health issues, physical and mental. So there's a lot going on in the film. Yet I never felt watching it that this was placating to simply to a contemporary a thematic experience. I feel like yes, that's definitely present in the film, but it's also drawing specifically on the characters, on their dynamics, on their immediate emotional reality and what's going on for them, which then made it relatable to me. I could sink into the film. I could find my way into the film. It was very much like the filmmaker was welcoming me in, allowing me to be there to bring my life experience to the film because of a lot of the silences, because of the length of the film, because of the subject matter, because of the emotional sensitivity these characters are experiencing, because of the craft of the writing. And from my understanding, the script was worked on for about 6 or 7 years prior to making the film. So obviously a lot of time and care was taken and given to this experience. And so I encourage everyone to take this film in. If you have an opportunity to see it in the cinema, I highly encourage and highly recommend. And yes, the film is 3.5 hours long. There is a 15-minute break in the middle of the film, but don't let that sway you. I think some people have said the second half of the film begins to wane for them. I didn't feel that. I felt like I was on board, invested, involved, because I've been yearning and craving for films in the theaters that have some meat on the bones, that have beauty. And the sound design in this film is extraordinary. The direction, the acting, the writing, the production design. It's just a feast. It was a feast. And whether it was perfect or whether it all came together or whether the second half is better than the first or whether the intermission is too much, whether the length is too long, all of these considerations and factors, I'm allowing that to not sway me because overall it was a beautiful, engaged, intimate, emotionally raw, sophisticated cinematic experience that I crave and I yearn for. And it's films like this that make me want to go to the cinema. I think the film I saw last year that had similar feelings for me in terms of going to the cinema to see was the film American Fiction. I know I've spoken a lot about that in our previous workshops. I really enjoyed American Fiction. I really loved the writing in a similar way, the acting. And I'm very excited to see Anora because I really like the work of Sean Baker. His film that came out a couple years ago, Red Rocket. I thought it was just wonderful contemporary new wave kind not new wave but like very reminiscent of this kind of Italian neorealism. It was very in that vein of capturing a moment in America and feeling very raw and real and present in the circumstances of the characters. So please, I encourage you all to see The Brutalist. Perhaps we can, in our next coming together in a few months, we can talk about the film if you've had a chance to see it. And I'm also thinking about ways of bringing film more into the workshops. I know currently we're working on fiction, we're working on memoirs, we're working on short stories. However, I'm thinking about in the next workshop 3 months from now, bringing in a film component. So scripts or films that have certain kinds of um, stylistic, integral craftsmanship that speak to a broad audience. But at the same time as it's speaking to a broad audience, it doesn't dilute or compromise its integrity in not undermining or demeaning the intelligence of the audience. And I will say with the films I've seen, American Fiction, The Brutalist, I'm looking forward to seeing Anora. and all Sean Baker's films and the films I've seen so far this year that I really, really, really love. Another great film that I saw this year in a similar vein was Strange Darling. I thought that was a fun ride. They're not dumbing it down. They're not demeaning the intelligence of the audience. They are honoring the intelligence of the audience. They're honoring that the audience can handle diverse subject matter, complicated storylines, raw emotional characters, not creating these neat and tidy endings, leaving things raw and loose, and really challenging the audience and allowing the audience in. And that's what great writing does. It allows us to enter the material, to enter the milieu, to enter the landscape, and not feeling like I'm shut out or that I'm being kind of demeaned or undermined as an audience member. So thank you all. I'm gonna close the recording for now. We're gonna do our closing shares, but I wanted to speak on the Brutalist, and I will certainly start to build a component of our next workshop with a piece around film. So thank you for those online, and I appreciate you taking the time to join us in this portion of the writing workshop. See you soon.